Today is Tuesday, April 24th, 2012, and we are interviewing Cleo Jordan at the Illinois State Library. Cleo is, how old are you? I don't
60.
Do the math. 60, having been born on November 13th, 1951. My name is Regina Korthals, and I'll be the interviewer. Ms. Jordan, could you state for the record what war and branch of service you served in?
I was during the Grenada invasion crisis, Panama, 1981 to 84.
What was your rank?
PFCP, which is Spec 4.
Okay. Where did you serve?
You want from the beginning, like basic training on out?
I think whatever information you want to give us.
Well, I went into Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, May of 1981. That was for basic training. Then we went from July 81 to Fort Gordon, which was my AIT training, and I came out as graduated in October as a 31 mic, which is signal communications. From there, I went to Fort Carson, but then that didn't count, so anyway. I went to Cravenloch, Germany, 34th Signal Battalion, 93rd. Oh, gotta go back. 34th Signal Brigade, 93rd Battalion, USAR, Germany, 7th Corps Army.
I'm sorry, where in Germany?
You want USAR, U-S-A-R-E-U-R, 7th Corps Army.
Okay, what was your job assignment?
I was a 31 mic, which is Signal Corps multi-channel communications operator.
Did you see combat?
No.
Okay, so no casualties in your unit, I hope, since you weren't in.
Well, there were casualties.
Was there casualties in
there were other reasons, though.
Okay, okay. Can you tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences? You're free to talk about whatever this is your story, you're free to talk about whatever you want.
I was ready for some details. But anyway, Reforger was our big thing, which is when the Army, American troops come to Europe, see how fast they can deploy, and then we are their support for communications. We provided their training operations. We did it sometimes with France and Germany maybe with us, and of course all the GIs would come from the States. And I don't remember how many weeks they were here, but I was in the field 30, 90 days at a time for different deals. We basically, 34 Signals is to provide secure tactical communications to all echelons of the 7th Corps Army, which Kelly Barracks is still in existence. 34 Signal has been defunct in 1989 due to the I wrote it down because I can't remember. Sure. Due to the German borders, the collapse, of the Berlin Wall. So 34 Signal has been defunct as of 1992. They took it all apart. Hated being in the field. We were in the mud, the snow. I mean, really, we were sometimes knee deep. There was a ham radio station which we provided 24-hour service to for the troops to call home. So anytime, day or night, they could come to the Mars station. It's like a ham radio, and they could. I didn't do that personally, but that was one of the things. I did go there because I was dating somebody there, which I married later.
Mm. So you were not a prisoner of war then, I guess?
Oh, no prisoner of war. Casualty in the field 3 times, but that's not. We weren't fighting. It was just casualties, our own.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
I was. I couldn't tell you what they are because I couldn't find my DD-214.
Oh, okay.
I did.
Did you get anything special for, like a special?
Oh, I got citations for being later 71 Lima, which is a clerk, and I for redoing their awards program. So I got a citation. I couldn't tell you appreciation. It's in a frame, but I don't know where. And I got some just letters of appreciation. One time I was during my time also you have to spend 2 months, I believe, as a unit police because we were in Germany during the terrorist action. the main thing was the Stuttgart 7. And they were bombing like American cars and Americans living off post. So anyway, I was playing unit police, and our general came through one day with his driver, and I got an award for that because I actually stopped him, carted him, made him go home and get his ID and come back. And so he wrote up a thing for me to get an award for doing my job.
Oh, that's good. Okay, can you tell us about staying in touch with your family while you were gone?
Well, we had the Mars station. Of course, I wrote letters. We wrote letters, but I'd write in the field, like scribbling here and there, and then just send it off, like I guess anybody would.
Did it take a long time to get responses back?
Oh, no. From Germany to us, it's an American APO address, so it went to New York to us. So Colorado Springs, New York to here. It's 3 days now, right? So it's probably 5 days back then, maybe. No more, I don't think. Packages.
Okay.
A week, maybe.
Do you recall what the food was like that you guys?
The German food was great.
I don't know if they're talking about your army rations or if they're talking about cultural food. I'm not sure. I think you can talk about whatever your food memories.
The mess hall up until Germany sucks. It's just mashed potato. They want you to get fat, it seemed like, but I think it's because we run it off.
Yeah.
Feed you, run, feed, that kind of thing. But once we got to Germany, you're on your own, but you go to the mess hall most of the time. I didn't have any complaints usually about the cooks. It's cooked real steak and eggs or whatever, ham and whatever you wanted, sure. Bacon and eggs. But it was better to go off post for dinner. We did do that. Anytime we were on base, like our concern, we would go off post. We'd rather not go to the mess hall for dinner. I mean, it could have been a great dinner, but it was just, you had to get away. Yeah. I mean, we were there 4 a.m. till probably 4 or 5 at night, unless we were on muster, which is ready to move. We never knew what time. 2 o'clock in the morning, we're gone. We had to go.
Did you have plenty of supplies where you were at? You ever have to go out without any supplies where you were?
Us personally, maybe once or twice. We never had showers for 10 or 12 days at a time. Nowhere to get that much water. So we learned real quick, me and this one guy, that there was baby wipes available. We were the only two that seemed to take them to the field. But then we were supposed to have, sometimes we ate those sea rations, which they aren't that bad, but they aren't the best. But when you got to eat. We did have a cook with a field mess hall, but you may not be able to get to it because there's a main signal group on the hill, and then we're out here in the woods somewhere, and we're eating sea rations, and so it's not that bad. I think they said the stuff that came later, which we tried ourselves, 82. I don't know what they're called, but they were horrible. We thought the stuff we had was better than the new, and of course all these new kids say, "Oh, it's great." It's like, well, it wasn't that good.
Did you feel pressure or stress in what you were doing?
Yeah. All the time.
That's just the question.
I know.
Pressure, stress.
Oh yeah. Just whenever it was silly things, nothing that would cause you like today's stress. Everyday stress. Today is worse than probably there. I mean, I wasn't under wartime stress. Hurry up and wait is stressful though. You're waking up at 4 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning because they think they're leaving at 2 a.m. and it's noon. Then you're like wanting to kill somebody, but that's a joke.
Did you have or take something special with you for good luck?
Me? Don't think so. My boyfriend's picture, but it didn't go to the field with me. It just sat in my locker.
Was that your good luck charm? You didn't have a good luck charm?
I don't remember. I truly don't think so.
Yeah. How did you entertain yourself? Like on your,
on our time
you didn't
off,
have anything to do.
Drink? No, we did drink a lot. Well, I personally and a few of my roommate and the guys that we met at the time in Germany, these were American boys though, we did go everywhere we could, every chance we could. Paris, Belgium, Italy, Spain, everywhere. I mean, I didn't go to Berlin, but I didn't go to Turkey or Africa. We had options sometimes, but we would choose Paris, Rome, Pisa, Holland, a lot of, if we only had a day, then we would just run up to Stuttgart or Nuremberg, and we'd go see the sights. Go like Nuremberg, we went to where the trials were. We tried to stay away from the barracks as much as possible when we could. That was the whole thing. I mean, we'd, I don't know what you want to call it. We kind of harassed or made fun of the barracks rats. They just stayed in their rooms, drank, got high. They had no lives, and they regret it now because I talk to some of these people still, and they're like, "Man, I wished I'd gone, to Paris or something." They didn't see nothing but Stuttgart or Ludwigsburg. Actually, we were in Ludwigsburg, which is south of Stuttgart.
Were there any entertainers that came to see your units?
Oh, I don't remember that. I'm thinking it was Reagan, but he's not an entertainer.
Well,
when he came to Germany, we were really on high alert then. But as far as we did go to one club all the time, American base, where I couldn't tell you, they were probably just local GIs making music for us. I can't think of anybody. That's too far to remember if any biggie came to see us.
Well, these are two questions that you've already kind of answered, but they were like, what did you do when on leave, and where did you travel while in the service?
Holland, Paris a lot. Well, I have family still in Paris, so we went there. We did Rome, Pisa, and my favorite was Florence. A lot of little towns. I mean, in certain countries, I can't even think of the countries right now. Supposed to go to Berlin, didn't go. Well, we thought about Turkey, Greece, never made it. We kind of stayed really close to Germany because you could get to 9 or 10 countries as if you were going to another state. So that's what we would do, a lot of those trips.
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events?
Well,
it was just
everything
a really funny thing that happened.
Every time we went out. But
I think they mean during the course of when you're actually working. But
when you're working, actually working. Well, it's interesting when you're in the field with Frenchmen and Italian men, and they have wine in their sea rations.
Oh.
So, we're trading those American cigarettes.
It's good for you every day.
Well, I guess it would be funny because we were like, wow, you got wine in there? Whatever they were eating, ours was sea rations. We had cigarettes and toilet paper, and they'd have their food and wine. So we would give you these cigarettes because all the Europeans want your American cigarettes.
Oh. Did they have filtered? Were they filtered?
Well, most of the time it was like, I smoked Cools at the time. They want Cools or they want Marlboro. That was the biggie.
Oh, really?
Marlboro. And then I'm like, well, I smoke menthol.
Oh, that's funny. Were there any pranks or anything pulled? Did you pull any pranks?
Did I?
You or anyone? You or others pull any?
Well, yeah. Pranks? When I first, now this is I guess it would be very evil. I didn't do this, but when I first got there to Germany in Krabenloch, they were throwing guys out of the third-story windows.
Oh yeah, that's not funny.
Found out later because the dogs were coming through, and these were druggies. So the little guys that just want to drink and party and not get in trouble. And it was like, because I said, there's bodies flying out. And that's not funny, but that's something unusual as far as pranks. I'm sure there's tons. I just couldn't tell you. I'm not a jokester. I mean, people think I am, but I don't even like jokes. If you tell them, they kind of go over my head.
Okay, now we're to the fun part. Do you have any photos that you would like to share and tell us about?
I brought these because I didn't know, but this is Krabenloch that's where I was stationed.
Probably right in front of you.
Oh, this is where...
yeah, just like that.
The
Perfect.
Snow clear up to probably my neck if I was standing in that one, right? January.
Those are just your regular barracks that
That's our barracks.
In?
That's the caserne, which is 17... I wrote it down somewhere because I knew somebody might ask. 1782, I believe. 1718, this caserne. Well, everybody's seen these kind of things, but these are our field gear, TA-50. I was just, new, so
sure.
I thought it was cool.
I haven't seen some of this stuff.
Oh, you can look at it. Just like that. Oh, it'll just skip me when I was young. That's me when I was standing in front of my my barracks, building 1603, and I was in A Company, 34 Signal. So I thought, ooh, look, right in front of the building. They have a big sign. This is the Stuttgart needle, which is used, it's a communications, like today's satellites are everywhere, kind of. Actually, I didn't personally, but one time helped build satellites. We called them towers back then. That's so you could continuously have communications.
Sure.
The whole thing about us was they could tear down all the phone lines, like if we were at war. Tear down the phone lines, just rip it up like Verizon today. Mm-hmm. You would always have communications to the Army, to the Navy. We were their communications. And I went in BATCOM a couple of times, which was when we were connected to Washington, D.C. They're from Germany. So this is just the inside of my rig. That's a 31 mic rig. See all the junk?
Yeah.
That's a lot. That is 24. We go out with 24.
It's like a big truck.
I carry. It's like an ambulance,
Oh,
kind of. It's okay. Very small. There's like two people in there, but we always have 96 lines.
Wow.
And minimum of 24. So we can have 96. Let's say you were in the war zone, or during Reforger, 96 bodies are talking encrypted. So I have no clue. Nobody knows what's going on besides you and I. Mm-hmm. Or if you're at the hotline, which is BATCOM, this is kind of how we set up. We're not there, see? Mm-hmm. Or it's like almost like, were we there? Or was I imagining? And that's my rig when I was in, with the 26th signal. That's just a mission. And then these are the towers, which is today's satellites. And basically, they're still probably building these kind of towers.
That is really hard to say. Interesting.
And this is probably still being used because, like I said, if they knock out the satellites, they would have to use this. And I'm pretty sure ours isn't doing it no more, but Signal somewhere is doing it. Do you want to see me? This is the man I married. I was playing unit police, like I said, so I brought one of me as a unit policeman when I got the general.
Oh, wow.
This was, and one, I got two more.
Very sexy.
Nelligan, this is just a site, and so we were doing, I don't think it was Reforger. We constantly were in the field, like I said. I mean, that was our job. We were there to give communications and support whoever is coming overseas. They still do it, I'm sure.
You didn't do the spy work, though, just the...
Oh, I wasn't a spy.
That'd have been fun, though.
Yeah, I can't say some of the stuff.
Yeah,
I really can't. Some of the stuff.
I understand that, too.
You understand that, right?
Yes, I do.
We were coded to, you go to the grave with
so
this.
You're just making sure so-and-so needs to know this information. I got to get it to them.
But I don't even do it. It's encrypted, everything. And if I was to talk to you right now, I don't know how it would go out, but it would not be what I am saying till it got
to... It looks like gibberish until it gets to work.
And then they're in the same rig saying... And then that's just me doing my job, actually. That's one... I think you can tell how small it is.
Take
there.
it down a little bit. There you go.
Can you tell there how small it is?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just room for two people in a little aisle. That's me. And then there's... Sometimes another guy would be in there with me, Sergeant Smith. Sometimes. Usually... I do my shift. I can't remember. I don't think we did whole 8 hours at a time, but when I come out, he comes in, I tell him what's going on, blah, blah, blah. I go to bed. You know, that was a constant while you're in the field. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's just no play time. I mean, yeah, you make time to be stupid, you know, but there was no partying, there's no bars, there's no smoking in the woods because the little cigarette lights up and they know where you're at. Mm-hmm. And that's just for, when I was young, in Paris. All right. Yeah, we started using later when they started coming. Oh, I don't know if you want to know that. The CBR gear came, what the kids wear now. That's one of the bad experiences. We could never figure out how are you going to type, pick up a phone, do any, because we had, not a laptop, but it's almost like a laptop today, but it's their keyboard. How is anybody going to do this? The chemical warfare stuff. We were wearing all that craziness, and we were practicing, getting ready for the new generation, I guess. I don't know, but that was horrible. We were like, you can't, how do you go to the bathroom? You can't pick. We had to answer the phone. Even in the office sometimes. I had it in a regular office when I was at the concern. Mm-hmm. And we had one time they brought a Humvee to our concern, one to test. Everybody hated it. It was ugly. Everybody hated it, and the guys that actually had to use it, they hated it. They wanted their old pickup truck. It wasn't going to replace my van, but it replaced pickup trucks and Jeeps, and that's what they use now. I think all Humvees. But at that time in '82, no. That was the most horrible, ugliest thing in my life. I didn't drive it. But the guys that had to, I remember that was one of the things. We thought that was funny. And there's a prank for you. They made sure that sucker didn't work very long so they could get back into that Jeep.
None of them probably own one today, huh?
I don't know.
Or
Not my
when they
friends.
see them on the road.
Not my friends. The ones I stay in touch with. I think we were talking about that. Well, not too long ago, I had about 4 of them at my house. And we were talking about stuff. I didn't know I was going to be interviewed. If I'd known then, I'd have gotten some dates and stuff. But we were just talking about that ugly Humvee. So I doubt if any of them have ever wanted one. And we were just talking about things that we can discuss together. And nobody was there but us. And one guy was like an '05 Charlie, I believe. And he said, he was even amazed. Like, oh, you guys did that. And we're like, nope. You're imagining what we talked about.
What did you think of your officers and fellow soldiers?
Oh, well, we had one or two that, do we name them? What if she comes and sees my face? Okay, we did have in Germany, I got along fine with the guys in AIT, my training sergeants. I mean, actually, because I was an adult when I turned 30 the day I hit Germany. So I went in at older age, so I got along great with my sergeants in AIT. Afterwards, we would. But in Germany, we did have a married couple, 2 captains, and they were the idiots. I mean, they were just total idiots. We said if we had to go to war, we were dying or we're shooting them first, because these were some idiots. But otherwise, it was fine. Our sergeants, they run the show anyway. They really do. And then we had a lieutenant, a really young guy from somewhere. I can't remember, but he had a southern accent. I got along fine with him. But at first, everybody had to make fun of whatever they called him, some young ROTC kind. But he was an officer, and they're like, this is what's going to rule the Army someday. It was scary. That's the joke. This is what, this is the upcoming future. Oh, Lord. That kind of thing. No, I don't. I got along with them. I mean, I didn't think anybody was too much of a jerk. And when they were, I never got in trouble. I spoke my mind. I did, and I got away with it. I think because I was older. Yeah. And I was dealing with older, the sergeants, that were with me. We got along. But if I got in trouble, and I would speak my mind, and they would threaten to write me up, and I'd hand them a pen and go, here you go, and nothing ever came of it when we got back to the barracks.
Did you keep a personal diary?
Kinda, yeah, I did. Yeah, because I was all over Europe, and later I took some of that diary and, you put it in not your baby's book, but it was after I had my daughter. Then it was like where we were. I tried to chronologically put where we had been, and so that's in her baby book. I believe that's why maybe I couldn't find nothing. Things are all over my house. And a personal diary, I've always kept one, though, since I was about 13.
Really? Yeah,
I do. I still do. It has to be a big event, like, I'll put something in tonight probably, but then it could be a week before anything happens, it's not even a diary when you think about 13, dear diary, I'm in love with Joe. It's more like I was interviewed at this, and then that's it. It's not nothing. I guess it's just I don't know why. It's a thing. Well, it's a thing.
Sure.
I keep logs. Look, I have to have logs.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
The exact date. I had to find it. Where you were.
Yeah.
Oh, I was from Germany. Then I left Germany, went to Fort Carson. My dad I was going to the States anyway, May of '83. So they let me stay at Fort Carson, Colorado, I think for like 5 weeks till he was definitely released and he's going to be fine. So then they stationed me to Fort Hood, Texas from July to December of '83. And I got out in December '83 at Fort Hood, Texas. So the guy I was dating in Germany, we didn't know this was going to, he asked me, almost got married in Germany, decided it's not cool. Came to the States, ended up marrying him anyway. He came to Texas, we got married in Texas. So he had gotten out before me, went to Bloomington, Illinois. Then he met me, came down to Texas, and we got married. And then we got out in Texas, and then I went back to Fort Carson, Colorado, because I'm from Colorado. And I was already out, and then I had my baby at the hospital there, because they let you have your babies, because I'm still legally in a GI until 1980. I think it was 7, because I had to do my individual ready reserves, which was, by then I was in Illinois, so it's just, they call you when they need you, if they need you, and I'm like, please don't call me. And they didn't. I never called anywhere after that. I got my ETS papers in Texas, which was 52nd engineers by then, but they sent me my, actually you're done August of 87.
This is, what did you do in the days and weeks afterward? When you were done, with your service.
Oh, I was married, had a baby.
Yeah, did you work? Did you go back to school?
I went back to work after
did you
about
use the GI Bill for education?
No. I went back to work because I couldn't stay home. I have to be a busy person. And I went back to work. And then we built a house, got a house in McLean where I live now. Then I worked. I'm still working. I've gone through 10 years of Diamond Star, which is Mitsubishi Motors, got out of there. And then I just do government work now. I work for the Public Health Department and the Census all year round. Last 10 years.
This I kind of know. Did you make any close friendships while in the service, and do you continue any of those relationships?
I did. I'm really close with one gal from basic training. We went from basic to AIT. She went to Germany somewhere else. She's in New Jersey now. So we stay in touch. She came to visit me in Illinois once, Colorado once, but I've never went to New Jersey. It's my turn, but it's like I don't have time. But then there's, of course, the people that were just at my house this April, Easter, right before Easter. She was a roommate in Germany. She was my roommate. Her boyfriend and my boyfriend, well, that's how we met. They hooked us. They did that. You got to go out with us. But they were roommates. Now, we all got married, and we stay in touch. We all have children. Well, she has more than I do. I had one daughter. She had one daughter at the time, and then she started having children 8 years later. And there's a friend of mine in, of course, Indiana. I see him every couple months. Him and his wife got a divorce, but he had met her in Germany. She was a roommate of mine for just a very short time because I left Alpha Company and moved over to headquarters, and that's when then I was with Batcom. Can't talk, and I was awards clerk, and that's where I started doing award stuff. I know I float around, but it's
sure, that's okay.
I tried to stay in order, but you didn't stay in order. I was like,
Did you join a veterans organization?
I did. I have to think. I am a life member of the Disabled American Veterans. I am the commander and the chapter service officer of Chapter 60 in Illinois, DAV. That's how I got without Reynolds. And then I'm a member of Post 474, the American Legion it's out of Matson, Illinois. I don't go to it but once a year. And then I've already done this. She had that I've already been on that. What is that one? I can't think of it. Illinois something.
Veterans History Project is what this is.
And then I'm just at they did sign up when I don't remember what year it was, but
Are you on the Veterans Advisory Council?
No, I'm in this. Into that project.
Oh,
I did it years ago. Not today.
I see.
I did that, remember. Well, you don't remember. You were in there.
That's right.
I forgot. We'll edit that one out,
Okay,
won't we?
yeah.
And then I was with, I went and saw it in Washington, D.C. at the WMSA, Women in Military Service, and I don't know what the A stands for. It's Women in Military Service A.
Oh,
but it's WMSA. Everybody, it's in the military, women in the military. So,
sure.
And it's like the Vietnam Wall but those, this is different women. And so I actually went to Washington, D.C. with the DAV a couple of years ago. And while I was there, I said, I want to see if it's really there. Kind of like this. Is it really there? And it was. And I'm on my wall in my town, a village of McLean. And I don't even come from Illinois, but they wanted me on that wall.
Well, that's nice, though. That's an honor.
It is an honor, and I also belong to American Freedom Team, Army Freedom Team, sorry. And then now I'm a charter member of the Registered National Museum for the Army. They sent me something, and I guess they knew I was in the Army. And I went ahead and did that. Supposedly we're going to be on the wall that they're building in Fort Belvoir, Virginia.
Fort where?
Fort Belvoir, Belvoire. Belvoir. It's French.
It is French. I was going to say that. It's French. Well, that pretty much answered the career that you chose after your service time. But Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or military in general?
Oh, you guys are going to love this one.
Yeah.
I was a protester during the Vietnam War while my daddy, a 40-year veteran, was in Vietnam. And when he was there, first time, he actually wrote to me, "You guys are right," you know, the hippies. And then later, he went, well, he stayed in the Army a lot longer then, but he did retire at 40 years, and he was really young, like 50. But anyway, during all that time, I've always been around the Army. I've been around GIs. I mean, it's like, you know, I tried not to date GIs when I was at that age, when you're really into dating. I was like, because, you know, my dad was in the Army, so I was, But something just clicked when I turned 30 the day I hit Germany, so at 29, somewhere in there, I decided I need to get out of the United States, and I'm going to Europe. So I talked to Air Force, Navy. Everybody wants 6 years of your life, and I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I'm going into the Army. Because I knew they only had 3 years or less. I found out later I could have signed up for 2, but they got me. And but I wasn't doing no 6 nowhere, and Italy was fine with me, but that was 6 years, you know. So, and war sucks. Period. I think we were talking about that outside, a couple of us. I personally believe that we have no business in everybody else's business. Just do what we were told to do, or not told, but protect our country. I know my dad used to push that communism thing. I'm like, you know, but it's just going to go away. And I think here today, those people are going to fight till the day the world is done. So it's always going to be a war somewhere. It's too bad.
Yeah.
I'm a peacenik.
Do you attend reunions?
Haven't had any that I know of. I've looked in the back of these magazines for 34 Signal, and of course it's defunct now. But there is the guys that were there, like I want to say World War II. Like, yeah, it is World War II veterans. Well, I guess they're really old. I guess it'd be the next thing, Cold War era. You see them in there sometimes. They're looking for somebody. Let's have a reunion. Or they had a reunion last year, but I emailed that person. It wasn't even my age group, and so they had no clue. They weren't with us in Germany. They were somewhere. They couldn't tell you, you know. So it's like, well, I don't know them. But as far the ones I know personally, I'm on the phone with guys up in Idaho and Yuma. There's about 12, 15 of us that stay in the loop like Christmas or something, but there's only 4 or 5 of us that actually see each other. And well, my ex-husband's one of them.
How has your service and experiences affected your life? It's the big reflective.
Oh, I guess I grew up. Maybe not. And I'm still in communications, basically. I mean, like I work for the census and I work for the public health department. And in both of my jobs, I'm a field interviewer. I go to the field. I don't have an office. I don't have an 8 to 5 job. We're needed all over Illinois.
Sure,
so maybe that did affect me, because before I went into the service, I was always into a bookkeeping and customer service relations, is what they call it now. But we had so many titles back then. I still do bookkeeping, it's part of my job, but it's not like I am sitting down in 9 to 5 doing books. Not anymore.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm kind of looking. I'm just thinking, mission was accomplished, isn't it?
I think so. It was very nice. Well, I thank you very much for your time today and talking to us and telling us about the experiences and stuff that you had.
Thank you.